Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Mackinnon, the editor of Triathlon Magazine Canada, and I am here with 11-time Ironman 70.3 champ, Lisa Bentley. I got that right?
Yep, that's it. Long time ago, though, now.
Oh, not so long. And, okay, so I got so many things I want to talk to you about. I don't know if I'm allowed to bring this up or not, but you're running Boston on Monday.
I am running Boston. I wasn't talking a whole lot about it because, I had to make sure I knew I could do it, but that I could walk after it. So I wanted to make sure I did a couple of long runs where I tested out the new bionic Achilles and to make sure I could actually come out of those runs okay. And sure enough, I've come out of them okay. You know, certainly aches and pains, but I think I've gotten stronger. And so I don't think I'll be any worse for wear on Monday night. And so it's always a privilege to get to race. So and that's the way I look at it, as what an honor and a privilege to get to race Boston. And I'm healthy and fit enough to be able to get from start to finish. So let's do it.
So people might not know that you had a pretty major Achilles tendon surgery. Was it last February?
October 2015.
Okay.
So about a year and a half ago. And it was expected to be a very major surgery, but they ended up, I went to a surgeon, actually a specialist in Sweden, and he's very innovative and very non-invasive, which is why I went to him, as well as the fact that he had treated quite a few professional athletes that came out of it probably better than they went into it, which is unheard of with Achilles surgery. And originally the plan by one specialist was, cut off some bone, detach the Achilles tendon, split it open, scrape things away, get rid of the burses, sew it all back up again, and put me in a cast for 2 months. And then 4 months.
That doesn't sound major at all.
No. So that's what I was expecting. And when I asked, have you done many athletes? He said, well, you're not an athlete anymore, so it should be okay, like if you don't run again. And I said, well, okay, yeah, like I've had my fun in the sun, and it's fine if I don't run again. And it was like that instant, that day, I saw this thing on social media about Lauren Fleshman having surgery in Sweden. And I thought, okay, I better look into this. This is called the second opinion. And I contacted them, and he said, I don't diagnose off of an MRI. Come to Sweden. I'll do an ultrasound. I'll do surgery the same day. You can leave 2 days later. And so off I went, and I had no idea how I was going to come back. I was either going to be same procedure that was advice number 1, or I was going to have some miraculous treatment. I had no idea. So I went there. He did the ultrasound. He made me go running on it for 5 minutes, which was excruciating. I hadn't run in 6 months, trying everything to get healthy. And went for a 5-minute run, came back, it was sore. He said, the only thing I see inflamed is the bursa. And so I'm just going to remove the bursa, and which is pretty small, relatively speaking. And one of the other reasons I went there is no matter what kind of surgery he did, I wouldn't be put out under general anesthetic. It would be local anesthetic, which again is wonderful, especially with the cystic fibrosis, not having to be put under. So he literally froze it. He actually had me hop on one foot after he froze it. He said, do you feel any pain? I said, no. He said, all I did was freeze the bursa. I didn't touch the Achilles. So I think we're right. But he wasn't cocky or arrogant. He didn't say, this is for sure it. He said, if I go in and I see that I need to do more, I'll do it. But right now, this is the plan. So he went in, took out the bursa. It was wrapped around the Achilles, so that's probably why it was such a problem. And 6 weeks later, I did my first walk run. So wow. It was very good. And so I'm very happy about that. And certainly it's an area that I have to be careful of. I don't have a bursa, so it is irritated very quickly. Taking a wetsuit off hurts it. Like that's the kind of stuff that hurts it. I can go run 20 miles, but I can't take a wetsuit off because it just kind of rubs it. So there's different things. But anyway, I'm in good shape and happy to have a good Achilles.
And a year and a half later, running Boston, which I'm guessing you never thought you were going to be able to do. So, very exciting.
It is exciting, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm grateful. And when these things come together, you just have to go for it. So I just want to be able to walk the next day. I can't go back to Sweden again. I'll be going back with my tail between the legs, and that won't be good.
So you got Boston coming down. You're busy coaching these days, too.
Life is busy. It's my choice, being busy. I choose what I do, as I said before. But things are wonderfully active, living full. able to coach some wonderful age group athletes and coaching a couple of professional athletes, which is interesting and fun and wonderful to get to share my experiences and things that I've learned from great coaches that I've had in the past. Kevin, you were one of my first coaches, and that's all learning. There's no textbook for this stuff, and so I'm blessed that I get to use my knowledge of the sport, my experience, what I've learned through my own doing, what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, what I feel like I could have done a better job at, and what I still learn as I am in the second phase of my life, which is balancing exercise with working full time. I know what age group athletes go through, but I also know what a professional can do. So it's a really unique perspective, and I do love it.
We had a world's fastest chat on the bike the other day. The triathlon world is changing big time, and what I'm wondering is, how is it to now be coaching some pro athletes? And are there changes? Is it harder? Is it different? What do you see that's different from when you were competing? Not that was that long ago, but it's changed.
Well, there's more communication between athletes. When I was racing, I just did my own thing. I had a coach, of course, and I did my training, and I was in Caledon and sometimes in Florida training, but I wasn't sharing all that kind of information with other people. I wasn't comparing workouts. I wasn't comparing how I felt. I just, went about my business. But now athletes that are training have social media, and so they're seeing what everybody's doing, and they're like, oh, that person's not tired, and that person is tired, and why should I be so tired, and oh, that person's doing this and I'm not doing that, and I need to be doing this. And so there's so much more comparison, and there's and maybe it's also scaring people a little bit. I'm not really sure, but and you see that other athletes, especially in the professional circles, all their sponsors, and you see that they're testing this product, and so I'm sure in the background of it there's probably a little bit of envy between people, and between other professionals, that they wish they were them, and they wish that they had their sponsors, and they wish they had this, and wish they had their coach. And so there's a lot of that going on, and yet we have to realize that the social media world is a great facade for real life, and it isn't necessarily what's actually happening. You're not going to hear about the bad workouts. You're not going to hear about the day that the athlete couldn't get out of bed because they were so tired. And we all know that if you're in an endurance sport, those days happen where you're exhausted, where sponsors say we're not renewing a contract, where you aren't going to get the shoes in the mail on the day that you want them on the mail. And so it's not all beautiful and sunny. There's a lot of hard work that has to be done. And so I think that's what's a little bit different, is you can kind of be brought into this world that it's all glitz and glamour, but unfortunately it's not a whole lot different from when I raced or when you raced. It's you've got to put in the hard work. You have to recover, you have to listen to your body, but adaptation only happens when you push the body to that level where there's a moment to adapt.
When you kind of look at things now, you're over in Kona, and you're looking at Daniela Ryf ripping that course apart, and Rinny, I remember all of the incredible marathons you ran, and then you see Rinny running 250. What do you think? Does part of you go, oh man, I'm so glad I raced when I did?
I am glad I raced when I did. The game's very, very fast now. It's so different. I remember when I did New Zealand, Australia, 5 weeks of each other, everyone said, oh my gosh, Lisa, you are absolutely crazy. Nobody does 2 Ironmans that close together. And in that day, it was a big deal. 5 weeks apart was tight. Well, now people are doing Ironmans back-to-back weekends, every 3 weeks, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, well, you have 5 weeks. That's a huge amount of time. It's a very different environment. I think athletes train very, very hard. But I think we've also evolved to the point where now the Olympic distance athletes are doing the middle distance Ironman 70.3 there, and those same Olympic distance athletes eventually do Ironman. So that's a whole other ball game when you consider the swim speed, bike speed, and run speed that they have. In my generation, we were just triathletes, and we were all really runners that got injured that swam and bike. And so now you're actually getting people that swam on swim teams as kids and actually can do a bike ride in sub 60 minutes for 40K. You know, like someone like Alicia Kay who can bike that fast. And then you get these incredible swimmers. And that's what you have really in Daniela Ryf, is somebody that is just that gifted. So because our sport is aging, we're getting this wonderful generation of athletes that are triathletes.
Yeah.
And that's why they're so fast. And I know Marinda had to learn, like she's kind of stuck in between the generation. She wasn't a swimmer, but she's done an amazing job, obviously, with Siri to be as good as she is. And I don't think even in my best years I could be competing on that same start line with people like Daniela Ryf and Marinda Carfrae. It's such the game has really upped itself.
Yeah, I don't think I'm buying that. I would still put you right up there. Nice try, though. Lisa Bentley, the nicest person on the planet, going with that. But yeah, I would definitely put you in there. But I do want to just come back. It's not completely revolutionary. People don't remember that, you were part of a gold medal team at the Pan Am Games, fourth at the Pan Ams, fifth at the Pan Am, seventh. Okay, sorry, I gave you a few spots. You should have just run with it. But you competed over the Olympic distance and worked your way up the way these people are. But it is very much different, the kind of ITU racing now.
Absolutely. I mean, I did do Olympic distance racing, and in those days, I did pretty well at it. And in my day, I think I started swimming 1500 probably in 25 minutes. And then I got good enough that I was swimming it in like 21, 22, which 5 years prior would have had me able to swim first. Well, then the swimmers like Barb Lindquist came into it and they were swimming 17. So now my 21, which I was so happy about, was now too slow.
Yeah.
So the game just keeps getting faster and faster. And what we have are these 17-minute, 1500-meter swimmers doing Ironman. And then they just push that beginning of the bike, which is pretty extraordinary. Unfortunately, some athletes can't stick with it the whole way. And I don't know if I'm convinced that pushing the first 40K in Kona is the way to go, because I think you get a lot of attrition there. But I know that's the new routine, is you just go fast, like right onto the bike for that first little bit. But it's a long day. I still believe you've got to run a fast marathon there. And you're going to move up some spots, especially now that the pro women and pro men have different starts.
Yeah.
So you can't, it's a very honest bike ride, and which makes it a very honest run.
Absolutely. And yeah, no two ways around. Daniela, quote unquote, didn't win Kona. Rinny had to run 250, but over 3 hours is not probably going to cut it to win Kona any longer.
Yeah. And it's extraordinary to run 3 hours. And I just look back, I was like a runner. And certainly, no, I was not like a 32-minute 10K athlete, but I had good endurance over the Ironman. And I never ran 3 hours in Hawaii. Yeah. And maybe if I had a few more years and got a bit stronger, but when I see those women running 3 hours or sub 3 hours, I just think that's absolutely extraordinary. And to have an off day for someone to run a 3:10, like that's still extraordinary in Hawaii. Anyone who says, oh, it's not that hot of a day, you go race in it for 9 hours. Like, it's hot. Of course, it can always be hotter, but you go in the sunshine at 80 degrees for 9 hours. That's a long day in the sun.
Need to sort of start working this down, but it's just been so nice to chat with you. You're still so passionate about this. What is it about triathlon or this lifestyle or whatever that you love so much?
I love how triathlon and sport changes lives, how it empowers people. I think that's the biggest thing. It changes children's lives when they have something that they love that's active and movement, and then as you get older, it's something that you can take. It's a lifestyle that you can take as you get older. If you're on the football team, nothing wrong with being on a football team or hockey team, but it's hard to coordinate. When you're 40, it's hard to get a game of football organized or a game of hockey organized. But at 40, you can go for a run. You can go swimming, you can go biking. And of course, the best of all those is swimming, because you can do that when you're 80. It's non-impact. So these sports are lifestyle sports you can share with people. And when you're out there doing it, you're just raw. You're raw. You can talk about things that you wouldn't talk about at a coffee shop. You're just raw, that you're all on the same level. And it's an incredible, so it's just so healthy. And I've just made so many friends through the sport. it's empowered myself, and I see it empower other people, give them confidence. When you finish a race, whether it be a sprint or an Olympic or a half Ironman or an Ironman, for that moment, you think, hey, I can do anything. I could be the president, the prime minister, I could do whatever. And that kind of empowerment, you can't buy that. You cannot purchase that. So that's why I love it. I see how it changes lives. And I'm very fortunate that it became part of my life.
Well, you have changed a ton of lives, and thank you so much. Been great chatting. Good luck in Boston, and good luck with all of the other things, all the coaching you're doing, and all that stuff. And we'll see you out in Whistler with Subaru and Tremblant as well. So you got a busy summer and busy year ahead.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to it, and we'll speak to you then.
On behalf of Lisa Bentley, I'm Kevin Mackinnon, the editor of Triathlon Magazine Canada. Thanks for joining us.